Welcome back to the Intercourse Show. I am your host, Mr. B. Today we're doing a live show and we are going to discuss a topic that just came across my desk. Are men, more older, affluent men, being targeted by modern women? Well, came across this video from a guy named McPherson, who apparently reveals that this is a tactic that a lot of modern women are using, is to target older, vulnerable men to, meet their needs. I haven't seen this video before, so I guess we'll react to it together. Let's go ahead and see, what points he makes in this video.
New trend going on between women and older, successful men. It's called targeting, and older men are finding out the hard way.
I later figured out, I think I was targeted. I was targeted from day one for financial reasons.
For years, many men could not figure this out. While giving a woman the world, everything she ever wanted, the lifestyle, the security, the access, was never actually appreciated. We were fooled into thinking it was. And what just happened between Simon and Portia is the actual blueprint. But women are trying to hide what it actually is. Targeting. Targeting is when a woman identifies a wealthy man who is in a state of emotional vulnerability. That window matters. Exiting the marriage, going through stress, suffering a loss, depressed, alone, the moment is key, because if she don't secure him during that emotional window, it does not work. So she moves fast, she bonds fast, she accelerates intimacy. Once marriage is locked in, the law is involved. And once attachment is secured under legal protection, the process begins. The selling of the dream, the performance, the positioning. And according to Simon, it only took 15 months. And before you say, well, that only applies to rich men. No, it applies to you too. Because you might not be wealthy today, but if you ever build something, if you ever level up, if you ever accumulate assets, you're in the targeting radius. And in this case, a man exits one marriage and within 30 days engaged again. And we're supposed to believe that was random. Today, I'm going to extract the blueprint and show you how women are moving in 2026. Because once you understand targeting, you'll start seeing it everywhere. So let's get into it. Because now that this has been exposed, now that men are becoming aware of targeting, I just want to let y'all know something. These women are going to start scrambling. They're going to start looking for a different angle, a different way to extract the life out of these men. Because once we expose this exploit, they will find another way to extract your resources. That's how this works. So expect the game to change. But the only way we can stay ahead of it is awareness. So if you understand how serious this is, like this video, engage with it, and use the hype feature. Because most men don't lose due to lack of intelligence. They lose due to lack of information. And if creators are giving you real-time updates, how the dating market is shifting, you're not boosting it. It keeps men vulnerable. So make sure you watch this entire video, because I'm also going to expose potential lies coming from his first wife. That's right. We're going to extract the exact blueprint his recent wife used to target and extract his resources. And we're going to address the question everybody keeps asking. Why did Simon leave his first wife? And we're going off evidence that he released himself. So let's start with Simon breaking down how he was targeted.
Do you regret marrying her?
So I found Tanzania specialist on Google. I knew I wanted.
Absolutely. I said to her in one of my text messages to her, because she didn't respond, because I kept asking her, why did you file for divorce? And she wouldn't say anything. I tried to reach her mom. Her mom would not respond either.
Guys, this right here is the most critical part of targeting blueprint. Activating the exiting process. I'm gonna say that again. Activating the exiting process. Women will not explain. They don't give any warning, no conversation, no closure. They just initiate divorce. And if you live in a no-fault divorce state, she does not have to put a reason on record. Let me say that again. Under no-fault divorce law, she is not required to explain why she's leaving. So fellas, when you try to reach her mother, try to figure out what the hell happened, you will not receive any information. That is how this works. You're just gonna have to sign that damn paperwork and she will see you in court. This is the beginning phase of the exiting process.
I later figured out this felt like a coup. You know, when I don't know if you're familiar with, I'm from, I say it because I'm from Nigeria, and that we were ruled at one point by the military. And so every so often when you want to change leadership, the president, you stage a coup.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I was totally blindsided. I was no member of her family, whether on the mother's side, on the father's side, reached out to me. And the only person I actually reached out to was her mom, and she didn't respond. And so I essentially sent her a text message. I said this was a $5 million rehab project that I took on. She never shared her concerns or issues with me before filing for divorce.
Now, Simon stated that she never shared any concerns. She never brought up any issues, nothing. And this is why. Because when you're activating the exiting process, feelings are irrelevant. Pain is irrelevant. Happiness is irrelevant. Whether you're being treated right or wrong is irrelevant. Now, assignment does not include emotional transparency. The assignment is to stick to the blueprint. And the blueprint does not require warning the target. That's actually against the blueprint. It requires execution. And in this case, according to Simon, that is exactly what happened.
If you're married, I've been married quite a bit. I think I understand a little bit about the dynamics of, I should understand a little bit about the dynamics of a relationship. You discuss issues and say, hey, if this does not change or something does not happen, this is what might come of it.
Mm-hmm.
We never had those discussions, and I'm happy to share with you text messages where I was essentially blindsided by the divorce filing.
I was actually going to ask you if this was something that you saw coming, if conversations had been had prior. What do you think Portia's reason was to file for divorce?
I think I was targeted.
In what way?
I was targeted from day one for financial reasons. When I filed for divorce from my previous, ex-wife, she was in my DM praying for me. And I think I was in a vulnerable position at that time, and I entertained it. And so it just kind of snowballed from there. Getting engaged in 30 days, who does that? I was out of my goddamn mind to have done that. And of course, I'm paying dearly for it.
Wow.
Okay, I'm gonna weigh in a little bit. So far, I've watched the first few minutes of this video, and I'm thinking maybe there's some cultural divides between how things are done in Nigeria versus, the women here in the US. So maybe that's one of the reasons why Simon is blindsided by what happened to him. But I think in Nigeria, there's a different type of reverence for men, and their system, I don't believe, is like the U.S. system where the woman is kind of viewed in a more positive light through marriage. So that could be the reason why Simon was blindsided by this. But watching this, thinking out loud, like, what else is new? Like, this is common knowledge. But for some people, especially if they're not used to the culture, these tactics would seem foreign to them. What I'm hearing so far from Simon is not a man who's regrets per se marrying this woman. More so a man who's looking for understanding as to why she left him. And his view of his account of her being in his DM saying, praying for you, bro. Come on. She she was laying, planting a seed and trying to see what came of it. Now, I don't know how many people follow the whole Housewives of Atlanta. I think there were a couple on that platform. And I'm guessing, they weren't really compatible as to one of the reasons as to why she left them. But it is true, no fault divorce doesn't require any excuse or reason or good reason if that to leave your spouse. And apparently he was not informed or aware of that. But this is a well-to-do man with a lot of money, and I'm sure he has lawyers and friends and plenty of people might have whispered to him that, it might be a money grab. He just, sometimes the heart wants what the heart wants, and he probably was just in love and refused to see things for what it was. But it's true, sometimes when you allow yourself to not think rationally about certain decisions, it may bite you in the butt in the long run. So let's see.
And this is a key part of the process. This is the final blow. She initiates divorce. She moved through the process, and she attempts to secure as much as possible with no regard, not one tear, not 1 ounce of hesitation for the man she is destroying in this process. A woman has to be built a certain way to do this. She cannot operate like this if she is empathetic. She cannot operate like this if she is sympathetic. She cannot operate like this if she genuinely cares about how her actions affects others. She has to turn that off completely in order to be capable of walking a man through this process. And according to Simon, this is exactly what happened. He has suffered a tremendous loss. Now we're about to move into another critical part of the targeting process. This part is called the lead. The lead is a man, typically older, typically established, typically wealthy, but most importantly, in a vulnerable state, exiting a marriage, going through stress, suffering a loss, depressed, etc. What makes him a lead, it's not just that he's vulnerable, it's that he responds. He engages. He answers DMs. That's the first rule men break when they are unaware of targeting. They are in emotional distress, and they are responding to these women in their DMs. They are engaging. They are entertaining conversation. They are opening access. The moment you respond while emotionally unstable, you become a lead. And in this case, Portia became the closer. If you know anything about sales, her mission: be the shoulder to lean on, be the safe space, be the person he can confide in during his transition.
Okay. So as he's going on and telling about this is useful information, by the way. I think there's a lot of men who may not have a lot of experience with women, and so insights like this actually helps them kind of know what to look for, especially if they're a good-hearted person who, mean well and want to see, and generally approaches things in good faith. But Mason Cameron had a show where they said men who go online seeking sympathy is often disappointed because the online orbit community does not look well on men who's been victimized by women. So a lot of people may feel sympathetic to this guy, and some people may not necessarily feel sympathetic to him. They may think that, he's he's licking his wounds a little bit, seeking spotlight, but he wasn't a victim. Now, there's two different sides of the fence. Now, you can certainly weigh in as to which side you think this is, but, I think he's making a compelling point. It's a point I haven't heard before. Men being targeted, I thought, happened from the beginning of time. Given that women are the weaker vessels, they've always seen men as you know, a security blanket, if you will. So in a way, they were always selecting for survival. Um, Now, is it being done in a different manner now? I'd say so. But I don't think the concept of women seeking men who are in better situations than them is something that's a new phenomenon. I think it's rather.
Because that allows her to get closer to his heart, to connect emotionally, to provide temporary relief, temporary restoration, temporary peace during a devastating period in his life. And once that emotional bond is established, the rest becomes easier.
When you see women like Portia, there's a few others. They're beautiful, but the mentality gives very hood rat. And I say this to say, and it's not because I spoke to Simon, it's because you slide in a man's DM knowing he's married to your friend. You break up that marriage, then you marry him.
So, according to Tasha K, Portia entered the DMs as the closer, and Simon became the lead. Now, I know what some of y'all are thinking. Wasn't he dealing with her friend? Yes, and let me be clear. It does not matter. This is a cruel dating market. This is a cruel era. Nobody gives a damn about your friends. Nobody gives a damn about girl code. This assignment does not account for morals. This assignment does not account for loyalty to friends. This assignment accounts for opportunity. And if the opportunity presents itself, it gets taken. Now, some of y'all don't believe women move like this. You still think women are moving morally in this dating market. But check out this clip right here.
I was looking at Portia and Simon's situation. Simon was saying that he discovered that Portia was just after his money. And this is another ego problem that I find with a lot of older guys. You are 50 years old. Your belly is big. Your hairline is going back. You are gray. You just about know how to use an iPhone, and you're still using slang from the 70s like groovy. Why the would you think a 20-year-old would want you for your personality and for your heart? You don't even have the stamina like you used to. Your is shrinking. You're still wearing wallabies. You still tuck your t-shirt into your jeans. Why would you think a 20-something fly young girl is looking for you for your personality or because you're good looking? Can we all be for bloody real for 5 minutes? If you want us to pretend, like we can pretend, we can tell you what you want to hear, but you know why we're here. So when Simon was like, yeah, she only wanted me because of my money, I was looking at him and I was like, what else is there to want?
Now, guys,
this is exactly the point that Cameron was making about how when you're a grown man, you go online seeking sympathy from people online. It's really a losing battle because no one's gonna ever see it your way. I mean, how that woman framed it would make a lot of sense. I mean, if he's 50, that means he's her father's age. So he already understands that they don't have a lot in common. They're not peers. You know what I mean? She's seeking whatever it is he brings to the table, which is probably a more secured life than she would get from a 20-year-old, right? So when that's the case, then you kind of go into a situation like that eyes wide open. Now, that's a fair point that she's making, although it's harsh in nature. It is a fair point that she made. Like a younger woman who's in her prime choosing to be with an older man is most likely due to security. There's not a whole lot of other things you can derive from that. Now,
as aggravating as it was to hear her say that, what she said is actually true. There are women out here who will be transparent. And even though it hurts to hear, the woman in that last clip just told you the cold truth. They don't give a damn about your personality. They don't give a damn about your character. They will pretend, they will perform, they will mirror what you want to see. But the bottom line is resources. And in some cases, if you're lucky, she will stay in character. And as long as you provide that lifestyle, until she finds something new or until you pass away, that's the game, brother. That's the game.
When she left, I think you even were like, you're fumbling, girl. Like, why are you doing this? Like, stick with your money.
Yeah, she had Dish Nation, she had Housewives, and she was a fan favorite. So you cannot quit some dude and for real, where that money's really coming from. Because anyone can set up a DBA and be like, I have a petroleum company. Do you really? Sir, where is that oil and gas? Where is it? And I think Portia's the rich one of them two. I really do.
Now, what's funny about this last clip is there's a growing number of women online saying that Portia was actually the breadwinner between her and Simon. But as it all played out, she wasn't. And to prove she wasn't, let's talk about what Simon actually lost in the divorce.
American reality TV star Portia Williams. Portia will get $40,000 every month in alimony from her ex-husband Simon Guobadia for the next 14 to 15 months. She also gets to keep the Rolls Royce he gave her during their marriage, and she has a chance to own part of their $7 million home. Simon must also pay back all the money Portia spent on lawyers during the divorce case. Although the house belonged to Simon before the marriage, the court ruled in favor of Portia and said that she can keep living in the house or sell it by 2027. If she wants to keep living there, she must buy out Simon's 50% share of the house to enable her own it 100%. The court hearing happened on June 11 and lasted almost 10 hours. Portia and Simon didn't speak to each other during the hearing. Simon was reportedly unhappy with the outcome and may appeal. He has 30 days to do so. Portia filed for divorce in February 2024, just 15 months after they got married. Simon was previously married to a Nigerian woman whom he left for the American reality TV star.
Now that I am going to be single soon, I know I'm going to have to open up my list of things that I, will do and won't do at this point when it comes to dating.
Oh my God. I'm laughing because that Cameron interview was so on time. There was a Cameron and Mace interview. I guess they did like a little on their show. It Is What It Is. You guys definitely go check that out. And they were saying, man, you cannot come on, if you are a grown man, you can't come online seeking sympathy from anybody online, because the women online are going to stick together no matter what. Here you have, I think it was a celebrity talk show host. Obviously, she's all up on the sister code, making it seem like this dude never came in with any money. She wouldn't have married him in the first place if he didn't come in with verifiable money. He owned a mansion. He obviously had enough to be appealing to her as a prospect. And he upgraded her lifestyle in a way that she probably wouldn't have had upgraded if she was just dating guys her age. So he was the lick. But now, once the divorce has been finalized, they're bad-mouthing this guy, making him look like he was broke. He was never the breadwinner. It was always her. It was always her stuff. It was always, and it's like, no, she won those things in court through the divorce proceedings based on the fact that he himself had more in the relationship, came in with more in the relationship than she did. Now the court is siding with her to make her whole. So this does prove the fact that women are going to stick together online, man. They're not, it could be black and white. They will not see it in a way that does not align with sister code. So when the lady said what she said, and then the actual facts of what came of the situation, it shows that, they will never look at this objectively. So what he said is, look, don't even take your argument online. Now, a little bit of this has some cultural differences. It is true. A lot of foreigners that come into the country are often told that African-American women tend to be, cutthroat with the ways that they go about things. You know what I mean? So if you're kind of engaging and, and trying to marry that situation, you got to make sure you come in with a prenup, or you have your P's and Q's, your T's, crossed and your I's dotted, because you can leave losing your shirt. And in this case, it's an example of that. But, it wasn't fair for the lady to say that he was the brokey out of the situation.
Now, what you just saw was the final result, the clean out. $40,000 per month in alimony for 15 months. She keeps the house, she keeps the Rolls Royce. Now think about that, fellas. We live in a nation where women say they are empowered, equal, independent, capable of doing everything a man can do. You have a growing number of women saying they don't need men, but the system does not reflect that empowerment. The system is still structured as if women are not equal, as if they are not empowered. Because in the event of divorce, she can clean a man out, and he has to continue to provide for a woman that is no longer his. She is free to move on, free to date, free to be with another man. He's still writing checks. If you ask me, it's one of the biggest crimes in dating history, and it is still allowed. No,
I agree with this point. I think there needs to be some sort of reforms to the whole divorce code, the whole family law thing. I think needs to be looked at, but it definitely needs to be reforms. It's not like this woman put in 10 years with this man. She was with him for 15 months. And she left with his mansion. She left with $40,000 of guaranteed income for whatever the foreseeable future is. And she's talking about dating. So it's a dog-eat-dog world. That's why, look, for anybody who's got sons, make sure you're informing your sons of what's really going on out here, so that, they're not naive in terms of what it is they find themselves walking into, because it's a dog-eat-dog world. More education needs to be done on this, which is why I would definitely add value. I would definitely support what this guy is doing by just giving people a heads up as to what is going on, because this is conversations that oftentimes aren't had, and men don't even know what precautionary measures they can take. You know what I'm saying? So this is definitely useful information.
Icing on the cake, there will be some simp who will still line up to date her. I don't make this shit up.
Y'all have to understand, Simon and I were actually married. It was real. Our marriage was very real. So we never had an ending discussion. Like, there was no, like, it was nothing.
There was no
our shit
closure.
just went viral, and that was it. We never said goodbye. We never said, I wish you well, or.
So what happened? You just moved out, and he just moved away, or how did the ending happen?
Same way y'all saw it. And one day I was happy, and the next day he was gone.
Oh, he just never came back to the house.
He came back after a few months, and then he came back, and it was you have 3 weeks to leave.
Oh, the premises.
Mm-hmm.
He gave you a letter or something that said you got 3 weeks.
No, he sent me a text.
The biggest.
Okay. I didn't know that. So apparently that's how he did the first wife. There is, fellas, a such thing as karma. So here's the Simon guy seeking sympathy because his first wife, because his second wife did him dirty. Apparently he loved her. He left his first wife for her. He moved her in. They did a show together, and he was really super happy about her. She leaves him with no explanation and just kind of does it in a very cold shoulder manner. Come to think of it, it's ironic to hear that his first wife was done in a similar way by him. Guys, that does exist. If you do things that that is unjust, that does have a little bit of a domino effect, if you will. It comes back to you. And so, I didn't know that. That actually changes my perception of this whole situation. As I'm watching this, it's entertaining, but it changes my perception. I mean, now I do kind of look at the situation like, damn, if it's no wonder if you did that to your first wife and you just left her for what you thought was greener grass over there, and then you come to find out that that grass wasn't greener, life has a way of humbling you. So I'm sympathetic that he went through what he went through and that he got hit as hard as he did. But, you know, if he did somebody who actually loved him the same way, you know, it's kind of makes sense.
Question everybody has been asking all over social media, all over the internet. Why did he leave his first wife? Why did Simon leave his first wife? Because there's a narrative being pushed that that woman had no idea, that it came out of nowhere, that she was blindsided. That's the story floating around. In the rest of this video, I'm going to reveal why Simon left her.
Okay, so I'm watching this for the first time, so I don't know if what that lady just said was true, but again, my perception might change again if it comes to light that she was lying and fabricating the situation for the sake of sister code, sympathy, and all these different things. This is why it's hard to believe any of these things, man, because you don't know what's going on. It is entertaining, but you just don't know what's really happening, what the truth actually is.
Were you home most of the time, or for the most part, with the kids?
Yeah, I was a stay-at-home mom.
So this was a huge part of your life.
Yeah.
She was a stay-at-home mom who was home most of the time. Store that in your memory bank because that's important.
Okay, well, if I may ask, this might be hard for you to answer, but what changed?
Everything started to change. I mean, listen, marriages are not easy.
Fellas, this is a deflection. She is not answering the question.
Uh-oh. All right, I'm going to change my position about what she said earlier. That whole thing just looked super duper suspect to me. Everything she just, her whole demeanor and everything, looks super suspect. She made it seem like this dude just walked out on her in the first clip. And now when this dude asked an in-depth question to drill down on what the core issues were, she's fishing for responses, which means that it's probably not true what she's about to say.
That question was simple. What changed? Instead of answering that, she starts educating, lecturing him, talking about how marriage isn't easy. That was not the question. The interviewer asked her directly, what changed? And you saw the long pause. The pause matters because she did not have her thoughts together. She was calculating. She was figuring out how she wanted to respond. And in my history of speaking to thousands of these people as a dating market consultant, when I'm trying to extract the truth, this is the pattern I see. Long pause, redirect, general statement, no direct answer, and more often than not, the pattern leads to deception.
You know, point me to the best marriage that you can think of, that you know, and I'll point you to 10 people who have something negative to say about it. Marriages are hard work. So within our marriage, it was hard work. Where it changed, I'm not exactly sure, because Simon is the one that filed. But
fellas, this is typically not how men move. Men are more logical. Men are more forthcoming with information. It is highly unlikely that this man never expressed how he was feeling, and he never gave insight into what he was going through, that he just silently exited with no communication. That's
I think my man's winning me over with his argument. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think he's winning me over. Her response, honestly, makes me question her credibility. She did go into lecture mode. She did deflect, and she never actually answered the question. He said, what changed? Things was good, and all of a sudden he comes home and tells you to get out via text. What changed? So something she was doing or not doing led him to take the position or made it easier for him to pursue a relationship outside of her marriage with him. So something did change. Now, if he went ahead and filed the divorce papers too, most men don't do that because it means they do something. It meant he didn't even care what the outcome was. He just wanted out of that situation.
unlikely. And coming up, You're going to hear it from him directly. You're going to see the evidence of Simon explaining exactly why he filed for divorce.
I'm still kind of lost on that part. I don't necessarily have the answers.
Well, but fans were speculating that you may have been cheating on Simon.
Actually, it's more than that. It's not just fans saying this. It's people observing the situation.
Yo, she absolutely was cheating on that dude. Like you could, you could already tell. You could already tell by her whole posture. It's almost like she felt guilty, but knew that the cameras was on and she would look bad. So she was like, well, marriages are hard and they're just hard.
People connecting the dots. The word that's circulating, it's not just that she cheated, but that she cheated with his friend. Not only that, but that there was conception involved during the infidelity. Well, let's continue.
Oh, shit.
So I just want to ask you, is there any truth to that?
No, I never cheated on my husband.
Do you feel like Simon may have ever cheated on you?
Okay, guys, apparently you're not going to get a straightforward answer out of her. She's going to ponder. She's going to pivot. She's going to try to piece something together on the spot. If you want to see it for yourself, I put the link in the description for the full interview. But instead of guessing, let's look at the actual evidence on hand.
And Simon Gubadia is doubling down on his claims that his soon-to-be ex-wife, Fallon Gubadia, cheated on him with a friend of theirs. And he has posted his own receipts to his Instagram alleging that Fallon cheated. So let's get into what Simon posted on his Instagram today. Simon posted several pictures of this man, and he posted a video as well of him and Fallon, of this man and Fallon. We're going to get into the video in a second. But first, I just want to read to you what Simon said in his caption. He said, when I say I have receipts of a cheating wife, this is what it looks like when blank comes to my home on different days to sleep with my wife while I'm out of town in Miami.
This was during the first marriage. His wife says she did not cheat. Now, apparently, Simon had a camera system around his home. And if you zoom in a little closer to the image I have on screen, you'll see the name he dropped. Now, for legal reasons, I'm not going to say. Simon had a camera system around his home. And if you zoom in a little closer to the image I have on screen, you'll see the name he dropped. Now, for legal reasons, I'm not going to say the name. You can read it yourself. But let me say something important. A lot of people, even clients I coach, they believe cheating is not confirmed until penetration happens. That is a lie. It's one of the biggest misleading theories out here. It does not take you being able to see penetration to confirm cheating. If another man is pulling up to your property, unapproved, without your knowledge, while you're not there, that is enough. You do not need footage on a bedroom. You do not need to see clothes coming off. You do not need to see anyone under a blanket. This man is at your home multiple occasions without you being present. Let's not be a damn fool. Now, you will have women in this space try to convince you that that is not cheating. Be careful who you listen to. This is cheating.
Wait for the video showing them coming back to my home at the end of a night out, trying to avoid front door cameras. The dumb F's forgot the security cameras cover 360-degree view of the property. You cannot come on the property without being noticed by security cameras. SMDH, there are more receipts if needed. And then he said, tell me how many husbands or wives should tolerate this type of behavior from theirs. I filed for divorce a second time after this video. She begged to prove that she was cheating.
Which is one of the most brutal things you can do to a man, is carry another man's child outside of your marriage. There are only a few levels of betrayal than that. Wives will let men hit wrong. Now, as far as consequences go, unless you live in a state that allows a man to take legal action against the perpetrator for impregnating his wife, there is often no real consequences. Now, that's a complicated legal area, and I'm not going to go too deep in this right now, but understand the weight of what we're talking about. Now let's continue.
Now, in Debrat's rant, when she was ranting about Fallon, she did mention that Fallon got caught cheating. And Simon is saying that these are just some of the receipts. And in this first picture, you see the guy coming up to the, it looks like he's coming up to like the buzzer to buzz in to open the gate. And the date says 2/14/2021, and the time is 7/17/26, 5:17 p.m. This would be Eastern Standard Time. In the next picture, you see the same guy in the same car, and this is the next day, February 15th, 2021, and the time is 12:47 p.m. And this is the next day, February 16th, 2021. Every day around lunchtime, this is 13:43, so 1:43 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every day around lunchtime, Simon is alleging that this man comes and enjoys his wife.
Because I'm a fan of crime movies and investigation dramas, I'm going to assume something. I'm going to look at it through that type of lens. I do not know many married couples who are separated on Valentine's Day. And when I say separated, I don't mean breaking up. I mean, one person's in one place and the other person's in somewhere else. So I'm going to assume Simon was off taking a break, stepping away from the drama, getting space. While he was gone, his wife had Jody pulling up to bust it down on Valentine's Day. That tells me something. She already had him lined up. You don't just randomly hook up with a stranger on Valentine's Day. That takes planning. It takes familiarity. It takes history. And this strengthens my argument. That wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't accidental. Simon's wife and the man pulling up to the house for 3 days straight, they had history.
All right, so what you see in this video is two individuals. You see what looks to be a woman who we can assume is Fallon walking up the sidewalk through the gate and up the sidewalk. And then you see a man who looks to be carrying what seems to be maybe a bag of food. You see him take the grass. And it sounds like that's what Simon is saying when he said that he tried to avoid security cameras. Now, to me, this is not undisputable proof that Fallon cheated on him. But
this is why you have to be careful with who the hell you listen to. Clearly, this woman is not convinced that this man is committing infidelity. With all the footage, with all the damn evidence, she is still saying this is not cheating definitively. Be careful who you take.
Mason Cam said it, man. They will not go against that sister code. That girl was laughing as she's telling the story. And she's like, this still isn't undisputable proof. There's still a chance that nothing actually happened here. I'm sorry to even laugh about this. I'm sure this is, heartbreaking for the dude who had to experience this. But yeah, man, it's a dog-eat-dog world out here. The one thing I would say is that I don't see too many wives. Like, to me, they seem like they like spotlight, they like the lifestyle, they like the perks, but the qualities necessary to actually, hold their man down and be a united front isn't there. Now, that's not to say that the cheating was only just happening on one side. Now, it's quite possible that maybe this man was living recklessly himself and she, went an eye for an eye on that. I don't know. I don't know the history of these things. It's a little too gossipy for me. I'm not really that invested. This is like Real Housewives type of storylines and things like that. I don't really follow this stuff much. But I am into the topic of men being better and improving and knowing how to navigate certain terrains when it comes to relationships. So it came across my timeline, and I guess it explains, what's happening. It has to give some context to what's been going on, which ends up showing that there's a lot of I guess what you would call tea in this whole thing between who was sleeping with who and what was going on and all that stuff. It's unfortunate. This guy seemed to have selected two women that weren't good choices to be wives. They both did him dirty.
Advice from. And understand, this is a woman speaking in that clip. And I have to be honest with you. In my experience dealing with women in my line of work, this explains a lot. A lot of women are more willing to tolerate cheating because they fail to connect the dots. They fail to accept reality. And they fight tooth and nail to avoid accountability. This woman just watched a man intentionally redirect his walking path to avoid being detected by cameras at another man's house. And she's still saying it's not cheating. You do not need to see anything more. That is deception. That is someone who knows they're doing something wrong and is actively trying to avoid being detected. Now that you've seen all of this, let's revisit a couple of things Simon's ex-wife said.
Were you home most of the time, for the most part, with the kids?
Yeah.
She was at home while Simon was gone, but according to the footage, she wasn't always alone.
But fans were speculating that you may have been cheating on Simon.
No, I never cheated on my husband.
Let me know in the comments if you believe she was faithful to Simon. Now, fellas, make sure you like this video. And let me end with this. There is a way to prevent this from happening to you. The first rule, whenever you are going through something, whenever you're in an emotional state, you need to recognize that as a man, you are in the weakest, most vulnerable, most dangerous position you could ever be in. This is when the world, the devil, anybody pretending to be on your side has the greatest opportunity to destroy you. This is why you shut off access. Shut off access to anybody and everybody who does not have your best interest at heart, especially women who show up being empathetic, sympathetic, soft, concerned, offering to give you a blowjob. Because the moment you respond, you become a lead. And when she closes in on your ass, the process begins. Now, I understand some of y'all still want to deal with these heathens. That's fine. But the most critical mistake in this entire process is marrying them. Once you become a wealthy man, especially an older man, and you built it alone, there is currently no incentive for you to get married. If she wasn't with you shooting in the gym, if she wasn't behind you helping you build your empire, she does not get a ring. Stop giving rings to women after you built your wealth. And I get it. Creators say, get your bag up, get your money up, and you can have your pick of the litter. That does not mean pick one and marry one. Once you hit a certain level, you cannot get married. Not in this state, not in this nation, not with these laws. It does not matter if you treat her perfectly. If it ends in divorce, the consequences are destructive. Now, yes, a prenuptial agreement may help in some cases. But let's be honest, most of y'all are married because y'all love them. You want connection, you want legacy, and I'm here to tell you, a growing number of women are telling you themselves it's transactional. They will perform connection. They will perform loyalty. Y'all are not listening. So after today, per this new update, this is the protocol until laws change. Without consequences, there is no incentive for you to get married. Stay away from it. Live your life drama-free, stress-free. Unless you got a woman that's starting with you young when you in the mud. Now, you already leveled up, she want to be your girlfriend, cool. But you better understand common law marriage states before you cohabitate with a woman. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You cannot afford to be exclusive in a system that punishes exclusivity. The women are telling you this indirectly. So yes, that means you move differently. You can call it polygamy, call it polyamory, call it whatever you want. I don't make this shit up. I don't write the rules. This is the reality. Take it or leave it. Now, if you made it this far, like this video, use the hype feature, because that pushes this to the top. Men need to hear this.
Okay, shout out to my man on his video. He did a great job with that. I think he made a very compelling case, which is just to kind of inform men of what's going on out here in these streets. It's a dog-eat-dog world out here. It is. The family court system is not for men. They mess with every aspect of your life. He's not lying on that front. And it is true. A lot of women are not going into marriage for the right reasons. They're not going in because they love people. They're going in because it's a lick. That is true. On the same side, on the same point, though, there are women who are good women, good catches. And you just got to make sure that whoever it is you select is somebody that actually aligns with the traditional definitions of marriage, right? And what he's saying is 100% true. Women will pretend, they will show you something, and then it won't be what it is. And a lot of times these things are trial and error, man. You got to learn the hard way. Unfortunately, this guy is learning the hard way. My heart does go out to him and their family. I don't know if there's children or anything involved. Hopefully they have some sort of amicable situation that allows them to co-parent and manage their household effectively. But it is true, man. You do have to be careful out here these days. Now, on the flip side, the bigger picture is what this man is saying is exposing a real fear that most men have these days, which is why you're starting to see the statistics show the marriage numbers are going low. And the fear is that love doesn't really exist. People aren't approaching marriage or entering marriage with the right motives and the right reasons, especially if you're a man of means. You know, you always have to keep in the back of your mind that the person may be there simply for what you have and not for who you are. So it is true. A lot of men are holding off on marriage. Now, I don't know what people's religious affiliations are. You know, there are certain beliefs that encourages people to get married, but if you're marrying somebody that don't subscribe to your religious belief, that means they're not going to be compelled to, you know, oblige by the tenets of your religious beliefs. And therefore, they're going to do their own thing as if they were never a part of it in the first place. So, and which is why the word says, do not be unequally yoked. So if you are going to choose to get married and you are going to take the chance that this man is wanting you not to take, make sure that you are sure that the person actually does have a real relationship with God and does actually want to marry you for the right reasons. And it's not, you know, a targeting situation, if you will. Well, I open up the floor to everybody who's been watching this. I try to remain extremely lighthearted about both sides of this. Obviously, there's complexities in every relationship, and that's true. I'm sure no one in the situation is a saint, but I think this man is simply trying to warn other men to just be aware. Like, just, you know, there are people out there who don't have the best of intentions and don't allow someone to take you for granted or take your good nature for granted. So with that being said, I am about to sign off. All right. This was the first of hopefully many live streams we'll be doing around this time. So you guys weigh in on this conversation. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe to the Intercourse Show. Weigh in. Let me know what you think. Share the video. Also support my man and the good work he's doing. That video is well put together. So definitely want to show love to him as well. All right. Until we speak again, God bless. Be well.